WEF demands governments make concerted effort to silence critics. Wow. They can do whatever they want, but I'm not going to stop bringing light to this dark World Economic Forum globalists. I'm not going to stop bringing it to them. I don't care of what they say. And so, but basically, they're coming out and they're wanting governments to silence people like myself and others who try to raise the alarms about the WEF and their globalist policies. And the thing is, all we do is read their speeches. We show videos of them talking and saying and what they're saying, and they know that the majority of the people will not go for what they're pushing. So that's why they need to silence us. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from Slate News, the great Frank Bergman, and he reports that the World Economic Forum has issued a demand for governments and big tech companies to make a, quote, concerted effort to silence critics of the unelected globalist organization's agenda. The WEF claims that it is seeking to stomp out wrongthink as part of its alleged fight against so-called disinformation. Again, disinformation is anything that's counter to what they're saying. Anything that's counter to their agenda is what they label as disinformation. They slick, I tell you that. I give them that. But the thing is, the more they keep calling things disinformation and misinformation, the more people are going to start ignoring that term or start actually looking more into that stuff that governments are starting to label this. It's going to backfire. Watch what I tell you. Like when it comes to Bidenomics and that term. But anyway, the article goes on to say that Klaus Schwab's organization is now insisting that global governments, media tech companies, and civil society must ramp up efforts for the anti-disinformation campaign. In a statement, the WEF argues that disinformation is a threat to our ecosystem. The Switzerland based group wants experts to explain to world leaders and bureaucrats how to curb opposition to the globalist agenda. I mean, this is disgusting. And in a post on its website, the WEF praises the European Union and its draconian EU Digital Service Act. Disgusting, disgusting. And I bet you, and you know they're going to try to push that here. That and I don't understand how Europeans allow their governments to push this censorship. But some, excuse me, some of the key components of the DSA, which was drafted by unelected bureaucrats, have led to the legislation being dubbed the censorship law. However, the WEF is demanding answers from other nations who have yet to push through similar tyrannical measures. The WEF blames digital technology and what is called fragmented media ecosystem for the supposed unprecedented amounts of disinformation. It's fragmented media. So they're blaming people that's not establishment media that don't push their agenda. So now we're called the fragmented media. In a statement on its website, the WEF uses fear mongering about artificial intelligence to advance its disinformation agenda. However, while raising the alarm about the so-called threat of disinformation, at no point does the WEF take issue with probably false information. Provably false information. The organization and its globalist allies appear laser focused on eliminating disinformation and misinformation, but they never refer to information that is simply either true or false. And that's a great point. They don't talk about true or false. They just say misinformation and disinformation. So basically, they can interpret it. They can interpret anything as misinformation or disinformation. Of course, the truth has never been part of the agenda. However, according to the WEF, the corporate media governments big tech, and globalists are not to blame for the public losing trust in these institutions. The WEF insists that disinformation is responsible. No, not us trying to shut down your normal way of life. Not us, but not us pushing our agenda is the problem. Is the disinformation. But to fight this alleged issue and restore trust in corporate media, the WEF is demanding that a society-wide war on misinformation must be launched. Again, they're not saying a war on lies, a war on falsehoods, a war on misinformation. For this war, the WEF wants the most powerful forces in society to close ranks and put up a multi-layered defense against the spread of so-called disinformation. And during a panel at the recent Davos meeting, EU bureaucrats and New York Times and Wall Street Journal head honchos et al. Got passed off as truth experts. The corporate media elites that spoke on the Davos panel similarly parroted WEF talking points. Meredith Kapit Levin of the New York Times said during the session in Davos that globalists simply want to help the public. Yeah, right. Quote, we need to help the public be more media literate as to the value and importance of independent journalism, Levin told WEF elites. Independent, they do not mean independent journalism. They definitely mean party line, mainstream media, and not independent. Because this is what they're actually fighting against: is the real independent journalists. But quote, people find it very hard for many reasons to distinguish what is and is not. Emma Tucker of the Wall Street Journal added, trust is our most valuable asset, and the minute we let go of that, our business models will fall apart. Well, I hate to let you know this, Emma Tucker, but you have already lost trust in around the world. That's why you guys are trying to censor so-called misinformation and disinformation, because that's all you have to do, because you do not have people's trust on your side. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest news. Until next time, peace.